Higgins.
Here.
Matten.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Anglin.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll have approval of the agenda. Are there any changes?
Sir, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent calendar notice to the public. All matters listed are considered routine by the commission and will all be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the commission votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion and second.
Higgins.
Yes.
Matten.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes. Public forum. Is there anyone here who'd like to talk about anything that's not on the agenda? No? We'll move on then to commission and committee reports. Personnel Committee.
We have nothing to report this month.
Okay. B is Finance Operations Committee. Number 1 is KLM Tower Maintenance Contract. Dan, you want to start us out on that?
I can. So last year and into early this year, KLM did some remote operated vehicle evaluations of 2 of our towers. And in their review of those towers, they recommended having ROV evaluations at a more scheduled level. So the request here and the discussion we had, so KLM presented to the Finance Committee on their findings and this proposal. The latter half of this proposal is for budget considerations only. What we are asking or looking for Commission's approval is the scheduled ROV evaluations on that first schedule within here, basically a rotating 3-year review of each reservoir.
What will that entail for staff to get for the inspections and the first go around to be done? What will we need to do as far as in the contract and what their requests are?
Just approving this would be that scheduled of payments on like page 3, the like first half here. So 2027 would be 3,500.
But explain to
From
me what the
us.
ROV evaluation is. This is just an exterior view
an
of the water towers?
Interior review of the water
So
tower.
do
So
they
we
have to be emptied?
they do not for the
Okay.
ROV evaluation.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. All right, so there's nothing that we need to do in preparation?
Just coordinate with KLM.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
I guess coming out of committee was the recommendation to approve the contract as presented.
The only reason I ask is because there was, and I don't know if that's later in the contract, there was an expense for any antennas that are on any of the water towers for the expense for those to be worked around. And I wondered that with ClimaVision, if that's in this contract or in the ClimaVision contract.
That would be in
And
the
I-
ClimaVision contract.
So I know we'll get there, but I just want to make sure it's included in there. That's all. Okay.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to find out what this one was about. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 2 is approve Bolton and Mink Construction Management at Risk Contract. Annie?
So last month's meeting, we had discussed moving forward with the construction at risk management contract for the reclaim tank. In discussing with Bolton and Mank after, the attached is a proposal for their assistance in managing that and going out for bid, plus interviewing potential contractors to do that work. This was their proposal, and in discussion with the Finance Committee, it was after the fact, staff's recommendation is to approve this attached contract, to have Bolton and Mank do that. Our, I guess, view on it is that having Bolton and Mank review this and go through this, we would be saving more than the cost on the contract.
Is there a motion to approve or any questions?
Just one question. So is Bolton Mink assisting in the design also? With the-
Bolton and Mink has already created the
Created the
design
design.
for the reclaim tank. This is the one that we went out for
Yep.
bids, rejected all bids. And then this would be, they would assist in designing any reduction in size or reduction in changes that we would need with the, that are discussed with the contractor. And they would be
All right.
discussing that with the contractor as well.
And they also know who's qualified to do the work.
Right.
And a lot of that, so.
I just wanted to make sure the scope of work was, that was part of theirs, what they did do. And I would make the motion to approve then.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Unfinished business. This is the separate memo. Is there anything on there anyone wants to talk about? No? Okay. Then A is memo. I'm not sure what that was about.
That's the attached memo.
Oh,
Just
okay.
Placeholder so that we have the memo attachment to the item.
Yep. Okay, the next one then is discuss, approve Flaherty and Hood lobbying contract for hydro generation. You want to take it
I
again?
can speak on that. So last month, we tabled the discussion, so the Flaherty and Hood and Marty Seifert, they were lobbying for the hydro generation project. That contract ends June 30th of 2025. They had a 14-month contract to discuss that and draft the session materials. We found out, so we had the options, the 4 options that we had from last meeting. We're extending a 12-month contract with Flaherty and Hood, extending it essentially a 16-month contract with Flaherty and Hood, working with MMUA or having commissioner staff members work with their contacts, the legislator, to continue this process. We found out since the last meeting that MMUA's governance team is not able to help individual utilities, which is understandable. So our options then are to either extend with Flaherty and Hood for a 12 or 16-month process. That was the difference in the $25,000 or $45,000. And then I guess staff is requesting direction from the commission on which, if any, way we want to go. Trent, I don't know if you want to speak to some of our findings in the discussions with BAR on what's happened with the hydro project.
Yeah, just a quick update on that. Our technology that we were looking at is no longer available for our original scope of our work, so we're kind of back to the drawing board on different generating units to install. We have some options out there. We just have to revet those options. Not sure exactly why they pulled out of the game. We're still trying to identify that. The equipment we were looking at from Flight was pretty widely used, becoming fairly popular in the last 20 years. So we're still trying to understand why they pulled out of the project. We're not sure if it was procurement of pieces or why they decided to discontinue their process of making generating units. So long story short, we're back into that search and trying to find a new generator, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
We did also find out from Marty over the last, any legislation that was drafted the last go-around needs to be redrafted now with Senator Eichhorn leaving and then Senator Heitzman coming on board. So essentially all the work that Seifert or Marty Seifert did in Flaherty and Hood, they have to redraft all the legislation that was there for any requests we would have going forward.
A question. So if we were to extend this, 12 months or 24 months, what would be the date on that new contract?
He would begin it now through,
Yeah, I guess that's part of my concern, because I don't see anything happening to, at least for the next 6 months. They don't even come back into session till, what, February? So, I mean, why would we want to just waste 6 months?
they do draft, he would draft legislation before October, was the conversation I had with Marty.
He would draft the legislation?
Start drafting the legislation prior, but completely up to you.
Go ahead, Mike.
Trent, what's your instinct say on on finding a new generator?
I think we have some opportunities out there right now.
I mean, can we get one bought and put in for $1 million still, do you think, or?
So the challenges we run into now was the generators that we were looking at, there was not gonna be much civil work to our pits. The new generation now, that is unknown, so we had to kind of vet a few generators, and then really the cost is gonna come into play is what civil work we'll have to do in that pit.
You're still gonna use that pit that's got the new gate that those other guys put in?
Yep, pit 6 is still our target pit right now. The biggest piece of that is there's different ways to align these generators in these pits. So you can turn them at a 30-degree angle, you can have them straight up and down, you can have them horizontal, and all that will change the flow characteristics of our draft tube. So being a 20-foot head, we have to really do a lot of calculations to make sure that we're using all 20 feet of that head to generate the most power. And then once those calculations are found, that'll help us understand what unit will be the best one to fit in that
How
spot.
long do you think that process is gonna take to identify another one?
I would think that we should be able to bring something to the next commission meeting to understand what we have for options and really be able to flesh that out. So the next 30 days, we're gonna be boots on the ground, fleshing that out, and hope to have something for you guys at the next commission meeting to give you what the options are.
I guess my opinion on this is, I do think it's a waste of money to do this for 6 months, but I also know the wheels of governments, and I know that the more lobbyists are lobbying for us in getting this to the top of the stack at the state, the better. It sucks because our state at that level, nothing ever seems to get done, so it also does seem like just a waste of money to have a lobbyist, but my instincts tell me that at some point they're gonna change over the REITs, the credits, where hydro does get us better credits. I've talked to several people in Wisconsin and Minnesota in the last couple months about dams, so. I don't know, I from a personal level, say we should extend it for 12 months, but I totally understand if somebody doesn't want to, so that's where I stand.
I just want to clarify, his contract ends 6/30, correct? So it's kind of like a school year. It'll start 7/1 and go to 6/30 of 2026 for the 25,000?
Yes.
And then it'll go to 12/30, so we are getting the additional 6 months for the 45,000. If I look at it correctly. Am I looking at that right?
We're getting
So
a
we
whole
would-
other year, because it
Yeah,
goes through December 31st of 2027, not
Right,
through.
but technically, it would go 6/30, 2026
Yeah.
to 7/1, 2027, and then he's saying that he'd go to 12/31. It's an extra 6 months.
Extra 12, 13 months. It's 2027.
Okay, so my question is having gone to the legislative update, we know all of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and he's got to rewrite the bill. There's a lot of work, I understand now, but my question is, are we getting a discount by saying that we would extend it longer? Is it a $5,000 discount, or is it additional few months, is what I'm asking, I guess. Do you see what I'm
See what
saying?
you're saying, that is confusing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, this is a 30-month
Right.
contract if you extend, if that is
12/31.
the true
Correct.
ending date. So I'm
And-
not sure what we got going either.
Right, but I understand with Senator Heitzman potentially picking up the bill again, and, you know, I see there being a need for somebody to be down there on our behalf.
Agreed.
But, you know, my question is if we did, you know, the 12-month extension for 25,000, does that offer to go to 12/31/27 come off the table for the other, you know, for the difference?
I would say yes.
It would come off the
It
table.
would come off the table, yeah. So we'd be having, to lock into the prices now, we'd have to go for the extension.
You would need to go for the 45,000, and that only makes sense because even a year from now, they're not gonna come back at another 20,000. It's gonna be 25 or
I
better.
agree, if we're gonna do it, do the 45, I see what you're saying, Dolly.
Yeah. As long as that ending date is correct of 12/31/27.
Well, and that's what his contract said. You're going to confirm?
I'll
Okay.
confirm.
And I just feel it's important or it's necessary because I know that, you know, some of that stuff is off the table right now. They're not in session right now, but I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done that we're not seeing that on our behalf.
I had a conversation with Heinzman's too, both of them at dinner a couple weeks ago about the dam, and it's important. We need to keep our name down there in the mix, and there's some ideas floating around with some buzzwords to help get this to the top of the stack, to get us that money. So I hope we can, I would like to spend this money with these lobbyists and just keep this ball rolling on this.
Well, and the extension to end of 27 cleans up my
Confirmed.
area, and it's correct?
Correct. That is what is listed in the email.
Okay, is there a motion then to go move forward on
Make
this?
that motion to move forward with Flaherty and Hood's extension.
With the 45,000?
Yes, thank you.
Second it.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. C is provide ClimaVision update.
Mr. Do you want me to?
Go ahead.
So in discussions with ClimaVision, we've been looking at easements and different things out at the state hospital site. What we're finding is neither the city, BPU, nor the state have documentation that is easily accessible on the easements. We've had discussions with everyone, and everyone is in agreement that there will be easements drafted, and it's not a problem. ClimaVision is, I guess, working on a site map, what we're looking at doing out there. The question or the direction that staff is looking for, and the concerns from ClimaVision are, in an agreement, does the commission want a lease or rent of the tower space written into the contract?
Well, would you have to?
We would not have to, in my opinion. That would be up to the commission.
Well-
ClimaVision will pay for all of the installs, the assessments, the KLM's review of the tower to make sure integrity and the coatings and everything are correct and installed correctly. I guess the question is, I guess it was a request from Tim Holmes, Fire Chief, that we put the radar on there, up to the commission on what they want to charge. I know in discussions with ClimaVision, or when Emily presented to the commission from ClimaVision, they were struggling with that, not knowing their outcome. So they're putting a lot of income here.
So you're adding radar, is this something that's being added to what they were doing? The low-level radar?
Correct. Currently, right now, we do not have low-level coverage in our area. Central Minnesota kind of has a big hole in it right now, so this tower would, don't quote me on the numbers, but I think 50, 60 miles outside of where our tower is, will be able to help fill some of those voids in that low altitude radar.
For weather?
For weather, yes. So the value really to the community is we're going to get quicker notifications. We'll be able to see down the things that the meteorologists can't see today. They'll be able to dial into and give us faster notifications for severe weather. That is the benefit to the community and to the Brainerd Lakes area. The question really is the commission be looking for a monetary amount to have something installed on one of our assets? ClimaVision typically does not follow that. They sell it as, your value is the early detection of storms. So we'd kind of be a one-off if we tried to add some value into that, but we certainly can bring that to them and negotiate it. I think to get the deal done, the value of the radar is the advanced notification in our area.
Normally, I would want a lease in place for $1 minimum, just because it gives, it's something I'd talk to the lawyer about, but in all my experience, there's always something in place. Even it's, even like when the city leased the ball fields from Potlatch, it was $1 a year. And with the recent storms and problems and everything we've had, I think this is more important. I think there should be something in place, but I don't think we need to make any money off of it.
And that's really the direction we're trying to look for right now. We can start, the draft of the ClimaVision agreement has started, but those are some of the parts we have to fill into that to really get it over the next hurdle. So that's what staff's really looking for right now. If you do have a desire, no problem. From our perspective, we'll add that in and negotiate that. But I think from Climate Vision's perspective, the value is the early detection of these storms.
Dolly?
Yep, and I just remember having these conversations. It was great. They were going to give us a subscription. And then, but I know there was still discussion from commission that, you know, there was a discussion about monthly rent. And I like your idea of at least having a dollar lease, because you can put the language in there about the easement then as well. You know, and any changes or modifications, I prefer to have some language drafted for that too.
The lease gives us some controls.
Yep.
For the future.
Agreed, yeah. And to Danny's point, Climate Vision is very much on board to add all those particulars into it. So when we do our annual inspections, anything that they have added or modified to our tower, they're 100% understanding that they would be responsible for those corrections and the cost for us to actually inspect those too. So they do have skin in the game. I mean, they're going to make sure they do a good project, and we're putting places in to make sure that it is a vetted project.
So you have your direction then?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
did I hear Mr. Higgins say he's willing to forego making a buck?
No, he is going to make a buck.
Oh,
So
it's
we
just a dollar.
for a dollar.
It's just a dollar.
Okay.
We want to see the dollar too.
I do, I do. Yep. I wanna see the
Okay.
check for a
I
dollar.
I don't need a motion.
Okay.
I've got my direction. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to new business then, staff reports. City Administrator, Mr. Burrells.
Thank you, Mr. President. My written report is attached. Just want to hit a couple of highlights. The legislative session obviously is over. They did have a one-day special session on June 9th. Just a couple of the highlights. They were talking about early on at the session about reducing LGA. They decided not to touch LGA, so that's going to remain the same. City business, our audit on the city side is finishing up. We'll be presenting that to the council in July. We did have groundbreaking out at Country Manor for the new facility out there, so they're starting work. If you've been out there, you'll see that, a lot of activity going on. And lastly, I just want to mention that we do have a new interim airport director, Neil Planzer, and he began work on June 11th. So pending your questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Nick? No? Okay, we'll move on then. Council liaison report. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank everybody for their involvement here and interest in keeping these utility costs fair for everybody. It's a difficult job, and so there's maybe potential other ways of doing things. Hopefully, we can get that brought to the forefront pretty soon regarding who manages the different utilities in the city and who's in charge. It's kind of a big debate that's been going on, but I appreciate everybody's optimism and interest, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. HR Director, Chris?
Good morning. So in addition to my written report, I wanted to inform the commission that over the weekend, we received a notice of intent to negotiate from the BPU Supervisors Union, so we will be starting that negotiation process.
Is that it? Thank you. Finance Manager report?
Thank you. In addition to my report, I wanted to thank Charlie and his team, Eric, Sam, and Dan, for giving the front office staff some tours of the wastewater treatment facilities over the last week. That was appreciated. There is an update. So just wanted to point out the MMUA Summer Conference, as written in my report. There's early bird pricing that ends in July. So if any commissioners are interested in attending, that's August 18th through the 20th. The registration link was included in your packet. If you need any assistance, let us know. We did include some dollars in the budget for commissioners to attend these conferences. And there is one more training. I don't know if Trent was going to hit it, but on July 7th, we're hosting, in conjunction with MMUA, the chemical hazard training for members of the community. The end of my report.
Are you going to cover financials or anything?
They're attached. If you have any questions, I'll be.
Well, my question is, I mean, we only have through February now that the audit is done. Will these be caught up by next meeting?
They'll be caught up by next meeting, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Danny? Operations Manager report?
Thank you. My report this month will be verbal. Just a quick update on a few of the projects that we got going on. The Southeast Reconstruction Project, we had 10 hydrants replaced with gate valves added to those locations. That work has been done. It's not completed yet, but the hydrants are installed and there's still more road work to do there, so that project's still ongoing. All the water shutdowns as of now should be completed for that particular piece of the project. Wright Street, that one's kicking off today. Temp water services will start being laid out today. Anticipation's end of the week for temp water services to be hooked up. So that project's moving along well. Safe roads to school up on 8th Street. Bituminous have been removed up there, so we're working on relocating some of our streetlight facilities and adding a service for the new crosswalk lights that'll be installed up there. Country Manor and Labor to Love will be getting temp services here in the next, Labor to Love, we'll get one probably this week. We're hoping 2 weeks out for Country Manor to get them temp power out there so they can get their job shack set up. But that's going very well to Nick's point. A lot of work's happening out there. A lot of dirt's moving around. They're making some good progress. Happy to see that. Saturday, we did some mutual aid with Crowing Power. We sent a truck and two guys to help them with restoration efforts. We had one crew working all day on Saturday, put in about a 17-hour day. But we were able, those outages were coming in onesie, twosies, so we were able to keep in front of them. Sunday night, Monday morning was a little bigger event for us. I think at the height of our outages, we had just under 500 customers out, approximately 2 a.m. in the morning. We were able to restore most of those customers back on by about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and then it was onesie, twosies. Most of our damage revolved around falling trees. We've spent a lot of time on vegetation management in the last 10 years. It really helps us out to where when we get those 60, 70 mile an hour winds come through our service territory, we get beat up a little bit, but nothing that we can't really ride through, and that leaves us the ability to help our neighboring communities also. So very happy how our system held up with the weather events that we had. It was pretty, we had 47 miles an hour down at the dam for a wind reading, and I heard 56 miles an hour at the airport was the reading Sunday night. So pretty high winds for this time of year with the trees on the ground, the rain we've been getting, saturation. Tips trees over. But so proud of staff on that one. That went well. July 2nd, we're meeting with USGS up at the hydro facility to actually do some flow monitoring through our pits and through our spill gates and having conversations on where we're going to potentially update or move that monitoring station downstream. So that'll be a good meeting for us. Flows today at the dam with the water we got, it's about 2,600 cubic feet per second. We have 4 generators online right now. Hopefully keep it that way for a little while, but the water, as fast as it comes, it leaves that fast also. So we're hoping to be able to keep generator 4 operating for the end of the week, maybe into next week with the waters dropping quickly. So that's my 1,000-foot view. I would love to entertain any questions. Oop, I'm sorry, I have one more. I've been working with some local, what I'll call at this point, private water systems, i.e. trailer parks, some other things like that, where there's not necessarily the agreement for the public water system and the private system for maintenance and flushing of that equipment. Made some very good traction late last week with one of our customers. Proposed a few things for them. I plan on bringing it back or maybe even having an operations and finance meeting put together to discuss some of that so I can get it in front of the commission and then hopefully at the next commission meeting have something that you guys can vote on as a group. Really what that aligns around is maintenance of hydrants, flushing the water, and then if there's any repairs to be made, the 1,000-foot view on that right now would be we would entertain giving them a bid to do the work, or they could do the work on their own side. If they wanted to hire a reputable contractor to do that work, we would approve that work. So far, all those conversations went well. We do see a need there. I had staff sit down, and in about 5 minutes, they came up with 72 locations that are not 100% black and white on ownership. So this is something that I'm grabbing hold of and we'll want to get this resolved quickly. So hopefully we have some good documentation and agreements to get in front of the commission. The intent of those agreements will have mapping to show ownership of every part in there. So BPU's ownership to where the private system starts, what we'll perform for maintenance. It'll be an annual fee for this maintenance that we will charge. And so some of those high level things is what we'll kind of get into, but I'll bring back more at the next commission meeting.
So you're saying like behind the meter fire hydrants?
Correct. Behind the meter fire hydrants where we have metering pits, so like a trailer park, for example, may have 1 or 2 meters, but they serve 50, 60 trailers. So the trailer park really is the private ownership of that water system. We're just supplying them bulk water, they're redistributing it, and then they make their money through their rent payments. So that's not part of the public water system necessarily, but it's our public that's using that water, so we want to make sure that maintenance is getting done
And
accurately.
fire hydrants especially.
And hydrants, yep. Yep. So I'll be looking to probably send out an invite here to try to pull the operation and finance committee together, just to get some, a few of those edges flattened out, and then present at the next commission meeting.
On the safe routes on H Street,
Yeah.
are both sidewalks on the north and south side of H, are they open to pedestrian travel, do you know?
As of today, I'm not sure. I was up there yesterday, and there was a lot of equipment moving around. I would say yesterday there wasn't, but there shouldn't have been yesterday as they were removing stuff, but I know that they had plans for putting some temporary access in, but I do not know if it's installed as of today, Jeff.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have two questions. The water interruption, May 27th, there was a frozen water line?
That's probably a typo.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that was weird. But the outage on Sunday, I don't know, customers know that they can actually look at your outage map online, but I did want to know if the mobile displays differently than the desktop, because when I looked at the mobile, it just displays the square with the number of calls. Is that all it's supposed to do?
Correct, yep.
But when the power came back on, when does that get updated?
So there's several ways that those outages get populated into our map. So our metering system will automatically populate any outage that it sees, and then it'll take it off of our map when it's restored.
Okay.
If customer calls in and says, hey, I have something going on, that one will stay on there until we actually clear it out. Most of the time, to be absolutely honest, at 3 or 4 in the morning, I don't clear those out until the following day.
So it manually gets cleared out?
Those, the
Okay,
ones
that's
that
what
are
I wanted to
publicly
know.
entered get
Got it.
manually cleared out,
That makes
yes.
sense. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Anything else for Trent?
Oh, one last question, since we're
No.
doing the,
ahead.
doing the Buffalo Hills project. Are we replacing any water lines down there?
No, not this time.
Okay, all right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Charlie, you don't have much time. Trent took most of yours, but
Quick correction on the graphs, if you would scroll all the way down the graphs. The report is as it is. I missed the header. So the first 3 graphs are Brainerd Baxter wastewater, combined Baxter and such. So the header says north and south zone for distribution or drinking water. So my bad, missed the header. But that correction will be made and then supplemented for next commission meeting. But that's the only correction I have. Thank you, Dolly, for bringing it to my attention. Some things, high note, we hosted at the wastewater facility along with Rural Water Association of Minnesota, a line tracing school, and then hydrant repair, in which we took hands-on down at the wastewater facility for 1980, 81 hydrants and rebuilt them. For labor was free, so surrounding communities helped us rebuild a couple tight hydrants during that school. Just kudos for everybody that attended and the surrounding communities. So that was a very nice school. So that's about it. Any questions?
Did we start sending water to Baxter yet?
Very little as of right now. So the weather's been pretty decent for that type of thing. But I did touch base with Baxter here recently. I'm kind of looking at a schedule to see, but right now, nothing on the schedule.
Could we get an update monthly on how much water we're selling them?
On the charts, it'll show, so from last year, monthly
Oh,
totals.
but I'm talking about the thing we approved a couple months ago. Is that, we're talking about the same thing?
Yep. So if you look at the actual real screen, it's be the last 3. You'll see Baxter north and south, and then you'll see Baxter's in there from one more. The total year from 25-24, total monthly.
Okay.
So,
Okay, got it.
okay.
Perfect.
Is that good enough, or you want me to, okay,
As long as I know where to look.
okay. Any other questions, or?
Are you, there was a request made on Facebook and social media for those that wanted to participate in their drinking water. Do you still need participants for that?
We do. The revision rule for lead and copper and testing has gotten pretty tight for the program itself, so we really do need the homes that were constructed between 82 and 85 with them specific copper and the solder to use in that time frame. So they're being, the revision has really tightened up the program. So I have to be real specific to make certain tiers. So 1 and 3 we're lacking on in our program. So I'm requesting anybody within that time frame that would qualify to reach out to us. So I'm lacking 12 total to have a successful program.
And that was the years built 82 to 86?
Yeah, 82, 83
Okay.
to 85, 86 is
Okay.
what we're really looking for, them houses constructed with them building materials that we're looking for. So it'd be copper and lead solder.
Got it.
Why isn't 84 included?
It'd be between that time frame, so that span, so 82 to 85, 86 area
Okay,
for them home builds.
all right.
I requested how many homes from the county, from the city here, how many building permits we had within that time frame, and it's kind of tough to get them records from that far ago. So we went out on Facebook.
Sure. Works. Thank you.
Anything else? No? Okay. Commission member reports.
So I did attend the MMUA legal update. It was fantastic. It was kind of great to have so many different other utilities there, kind of hearing some of the issues all around. And again, hearing the backside of it. Sometimes, when we read about what's going on down at legislation, you don't actually always hear how many times people have to testify on the behalf of the utilities or behalf of whatever industry that you're in need of. So it just, to me, it was eye-opening. I think everybody should at least listen to the legislative update on occasion. I know Nick, when he goes for the full expansion of what, happens at a city level, but this was more the utility level, and we all have our industry, so it was kind of neat. But one of the things I did want to bring back was MMUA does offer annual orientation for staff and commission and council. So we want to make sure that, and then the training, because you're going to be doing that. So I just want to make sure that when we have the option to utilize services like that, that we are. And I did attend the groundbreaking also for Country Manor. It's exciting. Appreciate Ed P. for hosting that. That was pretty awesome. And then last, I just want to recognize the passing of Senator Samuelson, former Commission Don Samuelson, BPU Commission, Don Samuelson. Just a couple of things about him that I thought was, we kind of lose sight of on occasion. It was just, he was a pillar of the community, was integral in CLC being here, the high-rise to be built. He used the platform to benefit Brainerd, and I just think that's pretty awesome. Just wanted to take a minute to recognize him, that's all. That's it.
Mike, do you have anything?
I guess just an update. I had a meeting, last week about how I'm getting my mind wrapped around how the gravity sewer is separate from the treatment and water. And I'm gonna be setting up a meeting with Nick in the very near future and talking to some more city councilmen. I think that it's kind of crazy the way we have it set up. And after doing a little bit of homework, it's kind of an anomaly, and it's something I'd like to see fixed. I don't care what direction the community goes with it, but to me, all the utilities need to be under one envelope, and it's just something that I'm gonna be talking to people about, and I just wanna be transparent about it. I don't care which way we go, or if it happens or not. As far as the commission, if, in the city council would have to vote 7-0 to make a charter change, and if not, to my understanding, then it could go to a vote. But I just think that with the issues we have coming up in the future with waste treatment, not being able to control what's coming down our sanitary lines, or the city, somebody else controlling what's going in there, is an issue that needs to be addressed. So, other than that, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mike. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We're adjourned.